It has been almost a year since I've had this console. From playing its editions I had played previously to buying a brand new game for myself, or rather playing the bundled game, it's been a wild trip to how everything has gone so far. While I don't think I've unlocked all of what I've done on my console, not that it's exactly possible one-to-one, I can say with a full conscience that the stuff that I have experienced personally is viable enough to do a full review on this console. So, where do we start if that's the case? The Nintendo Switch 2 is Nintendo's Pro Nintendo Switch console, released on June 5th, 2025 for $450 for the base console and $500 for the Mario Kart World bundle or any other future game bundle. The console uses a custom NVIDIA Tegra T239 SoC with an octa-core CPU capable of running 998MHz docked and 1100MHz undocked. It also features a 12GB RAM chip with 256GB of available storage. It also comes with an expandable microSD Express, yes I said that, card slot that goes up to 2TB. And before you ask, no, microSD cards are not usable as normal storage as it would have been on an original Switch. You have to get microSD Express cards if you want to use your extra storage as game space. Let's get this one out of the way. The console's gimmick, as some of you could have obviously guessed it, snaps its Joy-Cons to the handheld using magnets, making this the second console with magnetic controllers. You can also use the controllers in an opposite way. For what, you may ask? I have absolutely no idea, but it seems like they're trying to go for something in the future. Maybe that new Rhythm Heaven game, or maybe a WarioWare game, so... sweet? The Switch 2 is capable of doing 4K at 60fps and 1080p at 120fps on the big screen, and for games that support it respectively in docked mode, and can also run games in 120fps in handheld mode. The Joy-Cons can be used as a mouse for certain games, which I have only found the more viable use to be Mario Paint. It also has a built-in microphone. Gotta do this just the one time. I got out of here! I got out of here! Honestly, sounds like a headset microphone, not gonna lie. Inside the box comes with the Switch 2 stock, a separate USB-C cord and power brick, a 4.8-foot HDMI cord, 2 Joy-Cons, Joy-Con straps, a Joy-Con holder, and finally the console itself. The box is packaged perfectly and there are instructions on the outside of the box. When I got the console back in mid-July, I was surprised at how big it felt in my hand. And it still does. Maybe I'm not used to playing on such a large device in my hand since I just use it how I usually would when I had my Switch, or my phone for that matter. However, that subtle excitement started to dwindle quick, regardless if I had my temporary job going or not. And it's not like I didn't have money by that, I just put it in different places, like my camera, because God forbid a nigga if I was going to pay $80 for a first-party Nintendo game. Sure, I have a single Switch 2 game, Pokemon Legends, yay, definitely not the best game to even bother with, and along with a few demos I can show like Shinobi, and Dragon Drive, and Monster Hunter Stories 3, and also Digimon. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie with you, most of them are demos. That's my main issue. Outside of Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which I bought for the PS5, and a shitty Pokemon spin-off that I got on my birthday, I never really thought of getting more games, not because I didn't have anything, but because of the Switch 2 game prices and the category of a few. Not to mention studies coming up for me a few weeks after I got my job. It's not really the greatest position I have with how I got the console myself. I don't necessarily have many good qualms to say about the console, outside of it that it feels like a good handheld, and it feels good in the hands. I don't know how to word that better, I'm trying. And even though it's just human error, I do have a lot of problems with the console. One thing about it is the problem of holding it in my hands in handheld mode. I have a tendency when my hands tend to cramp when I'm holding my stuff partially from the pillow, whether I'm either in my bed, laying down, playing a game. Maybe it's because of how the weight feels vertically. I don't know. I'm particular about how I play my games. Another is about the depth of the Joy-Cons. Yes, it's about my hands again, but this is a reoccurring and personal problem, both with the Switch and the Switch 2. When I play on the other consoles, PS5, PS3, whatnot, I always have this necessity of needing to fill my hands during my games, regardless if that's the PS2, DualShock, DualSense, Xbox's, or Nintendo's own Pro Controller. It helps a lot for me. It feels better to me. I even have trouble like this on the Switch 1's Joy-Con controllers, where it feels too small for me to use, even when I know I have relatively average hands. Now, luckily, during that time of era, I bought a wired Hori controller that I can use connected to the console undocked. It has no real features, no rumble, no gyro controls, or whatever, just a standard turbo and a side button that a lot of older Pro controllers used to have. I'm pretty sure for roughly a good price. I don't know, it's been a while since I bought this. But do you see the problem that I'm trying to explain? I have to buy third-party accessories to use the stuff to complete my experience, or use alternatives to play. I'm not a Stigma guy, but I am very stingy about how I'm able to play, or how I should be able to play. And the last one I need to talk about are the game key cards. Switch 2 game key cards are cartridges you can use to put into your Switch console. Technically, you own the game as long as you don't lose the card, but you don't play it just like that. This is different. You have to download the game via the internet first before you think of playing it. This problem has become very notorious to many of the community revolving around the console, and for the right reasons in my opinion. Not everyone has or can afford good internet, regardless of whether it's the economy's fault or just the job market. I think it also comes down to the Switch 2's cartridges being at least 64 gigabytes, and some of the games that are currently on the Switch store are relatively less than 64 gigabytes. With all that said, should you get the Nintendo Switch 2 even with this console as well? No, I still believe the Switch 2 is still in its hype era, even when it doesn't have all that many games coming out right now. And that's fine, there's only been a full year since this console has come out, and there could be more that we don't know about. But is it currently the most affordable console amidst Sony, Steam's, and even Microsoft's own consoles, which most of them are currently $700 to $1,000? By all means, yes, but if anything, I would advise everyone watching this video to wait a bit longer. It is this first year of living through 2025 and already living through Q2 of 2026. So again, please have some patience. Outside of that, that's it for this video. Thanks for sticking around for so long. It's been a while, again, since I've created stuff like this, and I still wish to make more in the future. As always, I hope all of you liked it. I'll see you in the next one. See ya! Jesus, almost $1,000 for a half terabyte? Sheesh. Well, if I'm not gonna get the Steam machine, I can still hope.